quite amazing to see a system, a fiscal system, permit where someone could just pull an approximated sum of 2 trillion naira. That's bigger than some economy of some nations. So how can we plug into these loopholes in our fiscal system?
Honestly, I told you, oftentimes I tend to agree with the people who feels that sometimes the leaders we have are those we truly deserve by the way we do things. you understand? Good enough, this crisis, this oil, the case in court now is a serious case that will affect people's rating of this present government. But sincerely, in our usual way of amnestia, come 2015, people would buy different funny sentiments and forget that there are some crucial issues that should form the basis of our choice of elected people. If we start from there, if our people, for once, realize the fact that those you elect, those you thumb up to take up elective office, are those that will decide your fate as a human being, your fate as a social entity. Until we realize that, until we stop selling our mandate, until we stop asking elected people, you understand, until we start asking them, we stop asking them for those things that they don't rightly deserve. We may be building our castle in the air, thinking that we are fighting corruption. You know, because I have said it. I take it up that I'm a cynic, and I told you, cynicism is not. I was not born a cynic. I was born into this country, where every time we tend to have a system that only plays with the minds of the people. We appear to play with the minds of the people. You understand?
Is it getting any better for you now? If you try to look at the past and what we do have now and the projection we're looking for the future, is there any kind of hope? Is it getting any better?
There is hope. I see hope. There is hope. If you January this year, I've been part of street movement. I've never seen that type of gathering that I saw there. And for whatever anybody may want to say about that gathering, it gives me hope. It tells me one day in this country, people will troop out en masse to effect or to teach a lesson to the ruling class. And so I'm not that type of people who believe that this country will pack up. You understand? Most of these things we go through will shape us up, and at the end of the day, our attitude and approach to things will be informed by those things we pick up day by day.
Without people trooping out, is there any other alternative? Must we wait for people to troop out on the streets before we get the message?
That is the last resort. But then there is, we are talking about prosecution now because of the pressure. Because we talk every day. You understand?
But some will say because also we have a government that listens. Once upon a time, some governments will just ignore you.
If we have a government that listens and we don't talk, the government will fall. Who does the government listen to? You understand? Whether the government wants to listen or not, we will keep talking. Hoping that even if nobody's listening to us, we are listening to ourselves.
Well, we're talking. But before we move on now to the headlines, I was going to ask you, we've talked so much about the government, but sometimes we forget that the judiciary itself is another independent arm of government. It seems that with how we've analyzed this issue, everything, in fact, even to justice, depends on the effectiveness of the executive arm of government. Is that how you see it?
For us, when we say government, we're talking about the the executive, the judiciary, and the legislative arm. You understand? They are complementary body, and they form the government. So our own concept of government is not the executive alone. You understand? It's about how these three arms of government works together, and how people work with those three arms of government. So it's about yesterday there was a caption of one of the parties calling for somebody to resign, this and this and that, and I critically sat down and looked at because it was coming from a respected person, and I critically looked at what was written, and yours sincerely, there is an indictment on the judiciary. But if you say somebody should step down because justice will be affected, you understand? What you are saying in effect is that you have a judiciary that is amenable, that can be touched by this. So there is an indictment on the judiciary. But for us, we will not single out the judiciary alone. It's about a system of government.
You were talking about the judiciary, which you say is just not the only one in the searchlight, that there are other areas we should also look at when it comes to having proper justice delivery as well as getting it right for us as a nation. Now, let's start with the judiciary, which you say you read something about someone indicting them, saying, well, there wasn't going to be any kind of fair trial or fair hearing from the judiciary. Is that as a result of the skepticism of what has happened in the past with regards to having judgments from the law courts?
I mean, with reference to that, to what I read, the press statement by the opposition party, I came to conclusion that if a party is saying the chairman of one other party should step down because it feels that because they feel that such a person is capable of influencing justice, that what we are saying is that we run a judicial system that can be influenced, if for saying it. But I want to give it to the Nigerian judiciary. 1999 to date, I think if you place the three arms side by side, if the two other arms can come to equity with that type of clean, the little clean hand we have seen from the judiciary, then I think Nigeria will be good for it. So if you have a scale, I want to think that since 1999 to date, the Nigerian judiciary, to some length, have tried. But because at the same time, we also have to contend with the fact that what the judiciary does is to interpret the law. They don't create the law.